After my CEO husband, Lucas, slapped me hard across the face to defend his beloved little darling Vivian, blood gushed from my nose and mouth. And in that moment, stunned, aching, humiliated, I awakened the memories of my previous life. I remembered everything. I remembered how Lucas and Vivian would eventually destroy me so thoroughly that not even my bones would remain. With that realization, I finally understood everything. So this time, I didn't cry, didn't plead, didn't cling. I simply picked up the divorce papers Lucas handed me and signed my name without hesitation. Lucas thought I was desperately in love with him, so in love that after he kicked me out, I would loyally, foolishly wait for him to come back. But a year after the divorce, when he knocked on my door and saw me heavily pregnant, standing beside a tall, handsome man, he was completely stunned. I had been reborn. Reborn at the exact moment when Lucas's precious girl Vivian attempted suicide. 3 years into our marriage, my CEO husband Lucas became hopelessly obsessed with a young girl named Vivian. Lucas and Vivian met every single day. They went on dates. They held hands, hugged, kissed, doing everything lovers do. Everything, except the final step. Vivian said she was traditional, that her first time must be saved for her wedding night, for the man she loved most, her one and only future husband. Lucas adored her for it. He didn't think she was pretentious, he thought she was pure, noble, and virtuous. Behind my back, he sent Vivian flowers, luxury gifts, mansions, sports cars. He abandoned his legal wife, me, to accompany Vivian on her birthday, on Valentine's Day, and even on our 3rd wedding anniversary. I only learned the truth because he had ditched me that night to surprise her. That night, like the 2 previous anniversaries, I prepared a full table of delicious dishes and waited for Lucas to come home. But Lucas didn't come home at all. He didn't answer my calls, didn't respond to my messages. Even his assistant said he had no idea where Lucas had gone. Worried sick, I was about to call the police when a stranger added me as a contact, and sent me a video. In the video, my missing husband Lucas stood beneath exploding fireworks, gazing lovingly at a beautiful young woman. Then he lowered his head and kissed her red lips. I stared at the screen, frozen. Then rage, and jealousy, exploded within me. I immediately had someone investigate the girl in the video. Very quickly, I obtained her full background. Her name was Vivian. She was 20 years old, currently studying at a university. And her first meeting with Lucas had been dramatic. Vivian worked part-time at a nightclub to pay her tuition. While delivering drinks to Lucas's private booth, she slipped and fell directly into his arms. The drinks she carried spilled and stained Lucas's clothing. Lucas was notoriously germ-averse, yet instead of exploding with anger, he paused, stunned by Vivian's breathtaking face, and let her go. They met several more times afterward. Seeing Vivian work so hard to earn her tuition, Lucas felt distressed and began supporting her financially. When I discovered Lucas had been secretly seeing Vivian for 3 months, rage consumed me. I confronted Vivian and warned her to stay away from Lucas. Vivian looked at me and sneered, "You're pathetic. A filthy woman who was defiled by another man before marriage. Do you really think you deserve Lucas? He said every time he sees you, he remembers how you looked stripped bare. It disgusts him. If it weren't for the fact you 2 grew up together, he would never have married a woman who's been with countless men." Her words struck me like knives. Jealousy and fury filled my entire chest. I lost control and slapped her hard. Humiliated by my slap, Vivian chose to slit her wrists in a suicide attempt. She didn't succeed, someone found her in time and rushed her to the hospital. When Lucas learned that Vivian had attempted suicide, he abandoned a $1 billion negotiation and rushed to the hospital. Vivian threw herself into his arms, sobbing pathetically, embellishing the story of how I bullied and humiliated her. Her tears fell like pear blossoms in the rain. Seeing the clear handprint on Vivian's face, and the wounds on her wrists, Lucas erupted in fury. He ordered his bodyguards to drag me to my knees before Vivian and apologize. Naturally, I refused, and even pointed at Vivian, calling her a liar who faked suicide for sympathy, a greedy little schemer wanting everything both ways. My refusal only made Lucas rage further. In front of everyone present, he raised his hand and slapped me viciously. The force knocked my weakened body to the ground. Blood gushed from my nose and mouth. And as my face hit the cold floor, a flood of impossible memories from my previous life surged into my mind. Those were the memories of my pathetic, tragic, miserable past life. In that life, after Lucas beat me until my nose and mouth bled, I didn't blame him at all. I blamed everything on Vivian. I thought that Vixen had bewitched him, made him heartless, cruel, and unfaithful. I believed that only if Vivian disappeared would Lucas return to me. To make her disappear, I went to her workplace and created a scene. Vivian lost her job and was forced to withdraw from school. I thought Lucas would be moved and return to me. But once he learned that Vivian's suffering was caused by me, he grew even more disgusted. He said I was irrational, shameless, relentless, and he would never allow Vivian to be bullied by me again. To defend Vivian, Lucas handed me divorce papers with an icy heart. And the former me, pathetically in love, refused to sign. I cried, screamed, threatened suicide. I thought acting hysterically would win him back. But a man whose heart has changed will never return. My tantrums only pushed Lucas further away. After refusing to sign 8 times, forcing Lucas and Vivian to remain apart, Lucas finally lost patience. He decided to divorce me through legal means. The night Lucas filed for divorce, Vivian was kidnapped. She was nearly assaulted by a group of thugs. All evidence pointed to me. Furious beyond reason, Lucas decided to retaliate. He threw me to the same kidnappers. I was violated to death. After my death, my soul didn't leave immediately. I heard the kidnappers talking. Everything had been orchestrated by Vivian. Her purity was all an act, from beginning to end. Her true goal had always been to capture Lucas and become his wife. She staged the nightclub encounters. She dirted Lucas's clothes on purpose to test his reaction. Once she confirmed he didn't dislike her, she arranged further, chance meetings. When she confirmed Lucas was fully hooked, she pretended to be pure and reserved, too traditional, to give herself before marriage, making Lucas fall deeper. She used video clips and provocation to turn me into a madwoman. My escalating outbursts made Lucas despise me more and more. He believed everything she said. So when she staged her own kidnapping, Lucas didn't investigate, he simply assumed it was my doing. As I lay dying, the pain and despair chilled me to the bone. I glared at Lucas and Vivian, who were clinging to each other. Perhaps my hatred was too intense. Lucas finally looked away from Vivian and glanced down at me. Seeing my blood-soaked, mangled appearance, he froze. Something like pity flickered in his eyes. He released Vivian and reached out to help me. I wanted to tear him apart. I slapped his hand away and screamed, "Get out. Don't touch me." Seeing me in such a manic state, Lucas frowned and scolded me. "Serena, what's wrong with you? Why are you being so unreasonable?" He reprimanded coldly, "This whole thing was your fault. If you hadn't acted like a lunatic and lost all sense of decency, why would I have hit you? Calm down. I'll take you to the doctor. We'll talk about the apology later." Saying that, he completely ignored my resistance, scooped me into his arms, and tried to carry me out of the room. Just as he stepped out with me in his arms, there was a loud thud behind us. Vivian had suddenly fallen off the hospital bed. Turning around and seeing her motionless on the floor, Lucas immediately dropped me and rushed to her side. "Vivian? Vivian, what's wrong? Doctor. Someone get a doctor, now." His entire world shrank to the unconscious girl lying on the ground. He had no room left to care about me. I wiped the blood still streaming from my nose, staggering away to find a doctor on my own. The corner of my mouth had been split open by his slap, and the blood vessels in my nose had ruptured. Blood kept pouring out. The doctor treated my wounds, and I, covered in blood, left the hospital and returned to the home I once shared with Lucas. Looking back, Lucas and I had grown up together. We were childhood sweethearts, everyone called us a golden couple. People who knew us always said we were meant to be. But after we came of age, my family fell into ruin. The powerful Hua family wanted to break the engagement. But Lucas loved me. Truly loved me. He stood firm under his family's pressure, insisting he would only marry me. After 2 years of relentless tug-of-war, the Hua family finally gave in and allowed the marriage. But the night before our wedding, disaster struck. I was kidnapped. The thugs stripped me naked, filmed videos of me, and demanded $50 million in ransom from Lucas. By the time Lucas found me, I had already been thrown, naked, onto a desolate mountaintop. Though they hadn't assaulted me, the humiliation, threats, and horror had already shattered something inside me. I developed a severe psychological disorder. I couldn't bear to be touched by any man, including Lucas. And back then, Lucas still loved me. He didn't find me dirty or shameful for what had happened. He held my hand and vowed that I was the only woman he'd ever marry. That he would stay by my side, love me, protect me, for the rest of our lives. He bore the pressure from his family and gave me the title of Mrs. Hua. After marriage, when I couldn't bear his touch, he never forced me. He accompanied me to therapy, gave me the best material comfort, and patiently waited for me to heal. He hoped I'd come out of the darkness. I tried to. I really did. I wanted to break free from the nightmares. But I never imagined that during the time I was struggling through treatment, he would fall in love with another woman behind my back. His so-called forever lasted only 3 years. In my past life, after Lucas handed me to those thugs and I was violated to death, he simply sneered and said I brought it upon myself. Then, without a trace of guilt, he publicly married Vivian in an extravagant ceremony. Their wedding was praised as the wedding of the decade. The media reported it for days and nights. They looked picture perfect. Loving. blissful. A model couple with beautiful children. And me? I was nailed to the pillar of shame for life. Everyone who mentioned me said the same thing: she had everything, and ruined it all. She deserved what she got. They were right. I truly had deserved it, for being so hopelessly naive. For believing Lucas's empty promises. For thinking he'd love me forever. That he'd never change. It took a brutal death for me to finally awaken. No one will love you unconditionally for a lifetime. Not your parents. Not your husband. Only you can love yourself forever. Now that I remembered how I died in my past life, I would never make the same mistakes again. Lucas could love Vivian all he wanted. If he wanted a divorce, I wouldn't stop him. In fact, now I had only one goal: if Lucas didn't divorce me, I would find a way to divorce him. In this life, I would leave Lucas. And begin a life of my own. From that day on, Lucas never came back. But I knew exactly where he was. Vivian stayed in the hospital for a week before being discharged. Lucas, terrified she might attempt suicide again, never left her side. To provoke me, Vivian kept using a secondary account to send me daily updates of her romantic moments with Lucas. And Lucas, he truly adored her. Feeling guilty for wronging her, he brought her fresh roses every day. This man, who never touched a single domestic chore, would actually humble himself to cook her breakfast with his own hands. He walked with her in the park. Watched movies with her. Fed her popcorn during their date. They drank from the same cup of soda. Kissed so passionately in the theater that the screen was probably blushing. He even bought a pink diamond worth tens of millions at an auction, just to make her smile. Though they were intimate in every way, they still hadn't crossed the final line. Vivian continued playing hard to get. She refused to give herself to Lucas completely. But Lucas was patient, infinitely patient. He had completely forgotten he had a wife at home. His entire heart belonged to Vivian now. To help her get over the trauma of her suicide attempt, he took her on a vacation to Switzerland. While passing through the Alps, they heard of a romantic legend: when a man wishes to prove his love, he must climb the treacherous peaks to pluck a rare alpine rose and offer it to his beloved. Lucas, enamored by the idea, actually climbed the mountain himself. He picked that rose and presented it to Vivian. Vivian, in turn, sent me photos and videos of every sweet moment, through her alternate account, just to flaunt. She thought I would see all that love and affection and lose my mind again. That I'd do something crazy. But I didn't. My heart was as calm as still water. The love I had for Lucas had already died in my last life. Now, he couldn't stir even a flicker of emotion from me. I had only one goal left: divorce Lucas. After letting go of Lucas, I began to sleep soundly. I ate well. Laughed more. I hadn't had a single nightmare in a long time. At my latest therapy session, my psychiatrist was pleasantly surprised. My condition had improved. The shadow left by the previous assault had haunted me for years. I used to scream if any man, even a stranger, touched me. But now, I no longer shrieked in terror. For me, that was progress. Leaving the hospital that day, I went to my favorite restaurant and enjoyed a luxurious meal. Then I returned home, soaked in a warm bath filled with rose petals, and drifted peacefully to sleep. But in the middle of the night, I felt something, or someone, brushing against my cheek. Instinctively, I swung my hand and slapped it, hard. A loud smack echoed through the room. Pain numbed my palm. When I opened my eyes, I saw Lucas standing by my bed, clutching his face. The moment I saw him, hatred flooded my veins. I summoned all the strength in my body and slapped the other side of his face. 2 slaps in a row finally jolted Lucas back to his senses. He grabbed my wrist and exclaimed, "It's me, Serena. It's me." Of course I knew it was him. And of course I meant to hit him, this cold-blooded, heartless, shameless man. Since Lucas assumed I was having a mental breakdown, I decided I might as well go all the way. I screamed and lunged at him, biting and kicking without restraint. Lucas never expected me to go completely berserk. He held my wrists tightly, trying to calm me. But how could I possibly calm down? If my hands couldn't slap him anymore, then I'd use my teeth. I lowered my head and sank my teeth viciously into Lucas's wrist, without the slightest mercy. The taste of blood filled my mouth. Lucas's face twisted in pain. He roared and shoved me hard. I fell off the bed and slammed onto the floor. But I scrambled up again and charged at him. I kicked him, right in the most vulnerable spot. Lucas let out a blood-curdling scream, dropping to a crouch as he clutched himself. All dignity gone, he shouted hoarsely, "Serena, stop. It's me. I'm Lucas." Stop? Why would I stop? While Lucas was doubled over and unable to defend himself, I rushed forward and raked my nails across his face, strike after strike like claws. Blood streamed down his cheeks from the scratches. Lucas finally screamed for the bodyguards. They rushed in, wrestled me under control, and pinned me down. Covered in blood, clutching himself in agony, Lucas snarled at them, "She's lost her mind. Send her to the hospital. Now." I was forcibly taken for examination. Naturally, the doctor found nothing physically wrong. Because I used to panic and lash out whenever unfamiliar men touched me, the doctor simply assumed I was triggered again and mistook Lucas for someone else, which caused the violent reaction. Lucas's face was covered in bloody scratch marks. His wrist had a deep bite wound from my teeth. And I had kicked him in the place no man ever wants to be kicked. He looked absolutely miserable. To prevent infection, Lucas received a tetanus shot. I, meanwhile, was sedated and sank into a deep sleep. But while I slept, I heard the sound of a woman quietly sobbing. My eyelids cracked open, just a sliver. And I saw Lucas, his back to me, comforting Vivian, who was crying beside him like a fragile flower battered by rain. "How could she hurt you like this?" Vivian sobbed. "She's a madwoman, completely insane. Seeing you injured like this breaks my heart." "Don't cry. I'm fine now." Lucas comforted her softly. "But what if she attacks you again?" Vivian trembled. "A crazy person is terrifying. I'm scared she'll do something even more extreme." Lucas replied, "Vivian, she's sick. She didn't mean to hurt me. I promised to take responsibility for her, so I must take care of her for the rest of my life." Vivian hadn't expected that. I hadn't attacked her, I had attacked Lucas. She thought Lucas would be disgusted by me, that he'd want to divorce me immediately. But instead, even after being beaten until his face was swollen, Lucas still didn't do what she expected. This unexpected development left Vivian at a total loss. If Lucas refused to divorce me out of pity, then how would she ever become Mrs. Hua? Vivian wasn't about to give up halfway. She wiped her tears and began persuading Lucas. "Right now she only hits and kicks you. But what if one day she picks up a knife? What then? Lucas, I'm really, really scared for you." Lucas reassured her, "That won't happen again. I'll be more careful from now on." But precautions don't always work. Have you ever considered leaving her?" Vivian couldn't get him to say the word divorce, so she said it herself. "Lucas, divorce her. I know you pity her. Even after the divorce, you can still support her, still take care of her. I just don't want to see her hurt you again." Vivian cried into Lucas's chest, begging him to leave me. I thought Lucas would agree. But surprisingly, he didn't. He let out a long, heavy sigh. "Vivian, I owe her. I owe Serena. No matter what she does, I can't divorce her. You know she's sick. I promised to care for her for a lifetime. Her illness is because she was unlucky enough to be kidnapped. What does that have to do with you?" Vivian protested. "You can't ruin your whole life out of pity and sympathy." Seeing the woman he loved worry so much for him, Lucas's heart wavered. "No. Serena wasn't kidnapped because she was unlucky. There were other reasons." "What reasons?" Vivian pressed. Lucas hesitated. Vivian grasped his arm, crying, "Lucas, I love you. I'd give anything for you. You don't have to hide anything from me. Tell me. We can face it together." Under her tearful plea, Lucas exhaled deeply. "Vivian, Serena is like this because of me. I'm the one who ruined her." Thinking I was unconscious and wouldn't wake, and not wanting to make Vivian worry further, Lucas confessed everything. "When Serena's family collapsed, my parents refused to let me be with her. But I loved her, only her. I insisted on marrying her. To force us apart, my parents arranged her kidnapping. They ordered the thugs to humiliate her, hoping I'd find her disgusting and abandon her. They didn't expect the trauma would break her, that she'd develop such a severe disorder afterward. In the end, everything is my fault. If I had listened to my parents and broken up with her, she wouldn't have ended up like this. That's why I can't leave her." Hearing those words, my hands tightened around the bedsheet. I had never imagined that the kidnapping, the source of my lifelong terror, was orchestrated by the Hua family. Lucas's parents were monstrous. They wanted me so ashamed that I would leave Lucas on my own. But instead, they destroyed me mentally. Lucas knew all along. He hid the truth from me. He married me out of guilt, played the role of a benevolent husband, earning praise and good reputation. But everything I became, the trauma, the phobia, the nightmares, was all because of his parents. They had ruined me. Fury surged through me. I wanted to rip Lucas apart. I wanted to slaughter the Hua parents who destroyed my life. Vivian was stunned too. She never expected such a truth. After a moment of hesitation, she put on a sympathetic expression and whispered, "Lucas, you're too kind. None of this is your fault. You're a good man, a responsible man. I love you. I love you so, so much." Lucas was deeply moved by her confession. He held her tightly and murmured, "If only I had met you earlier, I never would have fallen for Serena. I would never have agreed to marry her. I only married her because I owed her, because of guilt. Vivian, this has weighed on me for so long. I've never told anyone else. But you? I'm telling you today. Don't tell another soul. Vivian readily agreed. Neither she nor I had expected that my marriage with Lucas hid such a vile secret. Vivian now knew she couldn't pressure Lucas into divorcing me and marrying her, not yet. She couldn't repeat her strategy from the previous life. She needed a new approach. Holding Lucas tightly, tears streaming, she declared, "Lucas, I love you. I love you desperately. I dream of being with you, of having your children. I've restrained myself because of morality, but now that I know how much you've suffered, I can break those moral boundaries for you. I can be with you." "Really? Vivian, you're willing to be with me?" Lucas was overjoyed by her sudden willingness. He lowered his head and kissed her. Vivian, of course, did not refuse. She kissed him back enthusiastically. I was in a high-end private ward. The two of them believed I was unconscious. So they shamelessly began fooling around right in front of me. My stomach churned with disgust. I wanted to squeeze my eyes shut and erase the nauseating scene. But just as I closed my eyes, I noticed a sudden flash of red. I turned my gaze toward the source. It was the tiny red LED light on the button of Vivian's discarded clothing. No wonder Vivian always sent me so many intimate videos of her and Lucas from her secret account. She had been wearing a hidden camera all along. Recording everything. Everywhere. I sneered coldly in my heart. Vivian had probably set up that hidden camera to record another disgusting video of her and Lucas, to provoke me again, hoping to push me over the edge. Well, if she wanted a fight, then I would give her one. Let's see if she could handle the surprise I had in store. As she and Lucas melted into each other, unable to keep their hands off one another, I quietly lifted my hand and pressed the nurse call button. This VIP hospital suite was equipped with a dedicated medical team. The moment I hit the button, a doctor and several nurses rushed over. When they opened the door and saw Lucas and Vivian inside, they froze, then shrieked. No one had expected it. Lucas and Vivian, wrapped up in their pleasure, hadn't even locked the door. They thought I was sound asleep, incapable of waking up. They thought the staff in this exclusive ward would never enter without knocking. But now, under the stunned gazes of multiple onlookers, their scandalous act was fully exposed. The mighty and elegant CEO of the Hua Group, caught in the act. When had Lucas ever suffered such humiliation? His face twisted with fury, and he roared at the frozen staff, "Get out. All of you, get the hell out." The nurses and doctors were about to retreat when I made my move. How could I let the curtain fall here? I sat up from the bed, after being unconscious all this time, rubbing my eyes as if in disbelief, staring at the half-naked Lucas and Vivian. "Lucas, is that you? Am I seeing things? What are you doing?" Lucas said nothing. He was stunned speechless. And in the next second, I let out a scream so loud it shook the walls. Barefoot, I leapt off the bed and ran for the door. The nurses and doctors, still shaken from Lucas's earlier shouting, instinctively moved to close the door behind them. But they didn't expect me to suddenly bolt. I shoved the door open again and let out another earth-shattering scream, rushing into the hallway. The staff grabbed me immediately, trying to calm me, but I started to thrash wildly, scratching, biting, shrieking like a madwoman. The scene was so chaotic that it quickly drew the attention of Lucas's bodyguards. And so, they too witnessed the frantic scene, Vivian and Lucas scrambling to dress themselves. But they weren't the only ones. My screams drew in others, caretakers, family visitors, and patients wandering the halls. And as everyone knows, there's nothing more irresistible than a scandal. One by one, people pulled out their phones. Recording. Photographing. Live streaming. Lucas roared at the bodyguards to stop them, but it was too late. People live for this kind of drama, especially when it involves a cheating husband, a pregnant mistress, and a wife driven mad by betrayal. It was delicious. I was eventually sedated again by the doctors. And by the time I woke up, the scandal had already gone viral. The Hua Group's PR team scrambled to contain it, spending a fortune to take down videos and delete posts. So no, it didn't make it to the trending list. But it still alarmed the Hua family patriarch, and Lucas's parents. Lucas was summoned home and scolded severely. They had never approved of me, the bankrupt heiress. But now, they absolutely despised Vivian, that lowly creature. Though they were pleased to know Lucas had a mistress and wanted a divorce, they insisted that he end things with Vivian immediately. They wanted to find a more suitable, wealthy heiress for him. Lucas argued with them bitterly. It got ugly. And of course, he blamed me for everything. If I hadn't gone crazy, he said, none of this would have blown up. Vivian had already agreed to stay with him discreetly. I was the one who ruined it. Whatever shred of pity he had once felt for me was now gone, replaced with nothing but hatred. Just like in my past life, he was desperate to rid himself of me and start over. I remained hospitalized for another half a month. During that time, Lucas never came to see me once. Instead, he arranged for a dozen bodyguards to monitor me day and night, basically placing me under house arrest. But that was fine. I ate well, slept well, waited patiently, waited for him to come to me, and finally asked for the divorce. A little over a month later, after I was discharged and returned home, Vivian sent me a photo of her 4-week pregnancy test. That same day, Lucas finally showed up. For the first time since the scandal broke. He came bearing a signed divorce agreement. He thought I had been too far gone that day, too deep in my episode to remember anything. He believed his lies would work. He assumed that since the videos had been scrubbed from the internet, I'd have no idea what really happened. Looking at me with that familiar tenderness, he said softly, "Serena? I'm sorry. I really don't want to divorce you. But when your condition gets bad, it's terrifying." He showed me photos of his injuries. The bite on his hand, the scratches on his face, and a medical report about his other injury. "Do you remember what you did to me?" he asked. Of course I did. But I gave him a look of utter shock and sorrow. I did this to you? That's impossible. I couldn't have. Is that why you haven't come to see me? Because I hurt you? I'm horrible. Serena, he said gently, you're sick. And your illness is dangerous. You didn't just hurt me, you lashed out at innocent people too. My parents were furious. They said if I didn't divorce you, they'd cut me off. I had no choice. He sighed. This is the only way forward for us. You understand, don't you? That, right there, was the most beautiful thing I'd heard since I was reborn. I was thrilled. But on the outside, I forced myself to look devastated. Please don't leave me, Lucas. I beg you. Serena, be good. I don't really want to divorce you. This is just to appease my parents. You know how expensive your treatment is. If we don't have money, we'll be doomed. I bit my lip and looked torn. Lucas coaxed me gently, this isn't real divorce. We'll still be like before. I'll keep taking care of you. Really? I asked, tears welling up as I picked up the divorce papers. If I don't have you, how will I survive? I don't know anything. I can't do anything. Don't worry. I've already transferred plenty of money to your name, enough for several lifetimes. My eyes scanned the property division terms. 1/2 to each of us. The full asset list was included. Satisfied, I picked up the pen and signed my name. No tantrum. No tears. No hesitation. Lucas was visibly surprised. He looked me over, frowning. Serena, you really agreed? You seem different. His suspicion made my heart skip a beat. I had been too eager, so eager to be free of him that I forgot to pretend. I quickly rubbed my eyes and choked out a sob. Yes. I agreed. But it hurt so much. I pressed my hand against my heart. Just thinking about separating from you makes me want to die. But if I don't let go, I'll only hurt you again. And I'll destroy your future. I'm sorry, Lucas. I must let you go. I put on a perfect display of heartbreak. Just like the old Serena who loved him to death. Lucas thought I was only doing this because I believed his lies. He thought I was worried about his career. His gaze softened a little. Serena, focus on getting better. Once you're cured, we can be together again. I'll be good, I whispered tearfully. Lucas, will you still come visit me? Without you, I feel like I'll die. That made Lucas panic. Clearly disturbed by my clinging, he mumbled an excuse and fled. I walked him out, reluctant and tearful, like a heartbroken wife. But the moment I closed the door behind him, I burst into wild laughter. Finally. Everything was going exactly as I planned. Lucas quickly had his lawyer process the divorce. According to the law, we had to wait 1 month before receiving the official certificate. Once Vivian confirmed that Lucas and I were officially in the countdown to divorce, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. She began appearing everywhere at Lucas's side, joining him at events as his rightful partner. But the Hua family had never liked me, a bankrupt heiress. And they liked Vivian even less. When they learned about Lucas and Vivian, they were furious. They strongly opposed their relationship and tried everything to stop Lucas. But Lucas was the type of man who rebelled simply because someone told him not to. Just like back then, when the Hua family forbade him from being with me. He now stubbornly treated Vivian like a treasure and clashed with his family at every turn. While Lucas and the Hua family waged their private war over Vivian, I calmly handled my half of the marital assets. Most of what Lucas gave me were real estate properties, luxury cars, jewelry, cash, and a portfolio of stocks and funds. I immediately began liquidating everything. Real estate, cars, jewels, stocks. The process was fast and efficient. Very soon, a hefty sum of money landed safely in my account. During the divorce cooling-off period, I never contacted Lucas once. He, busy dealing with Vivian and his parents, had no time or energy to bother with me. Then came the day we were scheduled to finalize our divorce. I woke up early, ate breakfast, and went straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau to take a number. I even called Lucas to remind him to come. Not long after I took my number, he arrived. We exchanged no unnecessary words. The divorce procedure was astonishingly fast. In minutes, the red marriage booklet became a green divorce certificate. I walked out of the building briskly, my divorce papers in hand. Lucas followed behind me, guilt written all over his face. "Serena, if you ever need anything, you can contact me anytime. I'll help you, no matter what." I gave him a light smile. "No need. We're divorced now. Let's part peacefully and stop interfering in each other's lives." Lucas froze. "Serena, you're sure? You truly want a clean break?" "Of course. We're already divorced. Continuing to contact each other would mean I'm crazy. I'm not that bored. A good ex should be as good as dead." And with that, I stepped into my car, leaving Lucas stunned behind me, and sped away. After divorcing Lucas, I immediately used my generous divorce settlement to begin a worldwide vacation. I basked in sunlight, went skiing and diving, tried extreme sports, and lived as freely as I wanted. Life was wonderful. Aside from Lucas constantly pestering me. He sent endless messages, made countless calls, and annoyed me beyond belief. Funny, really? When we were married, he cheated, kept a mistress, and betrayed me. Now that we're divorced and I ignore him, refusing to even look at him, he suddenly can't stop chasing after me. Every day he bombarded me with messages and phone calls. I honestly couldn't understand what went on in that man's head. It was exhausting to deal with him. To avoid unnecessary trouble, I simply blocked him. I thought once he lost all means of contacting me, he'd finally stop and focus on his dear Vivian. But no. Instead, Lucas grew furious. He ran to my old address to find me, only to learn I had sold every property he gave me. He was shocked. He never imagined I would do such a thing. He couldn't understand why. Wasn't I supposed to be crazy? Wasn't I hopelessly in love with him? Shouldn't I be waiting pitifully for him after the divorce? Why, then, would I sell all my assets and disappear? Unable to figure it out, he began asking around about me. And in that process, he slowly began ignoring the Vivian he once claimed to adore. Vivian had believed that after Lucas and I divorced, she would easily rise to become Mrs. Hua. But reality was nothing like her fantasy. The Hua family refused to accept her, pregnant or not. And Lucas, unlike in my previous life, didn't protect her or cling to her. After tasting the excitement, Lucas soon realized Vivian wasn't that special. She was too flirtatious, too brazen, fun in bed, maybe, but not suitable for marriage. Vivian sensed Lucas's growing indifference. Several times she suggested marriage, only to be rejected. She simmered with anger but didn't dare confront Lucas directly. So, naturally, she blamed me. In her mind, I must have been scheming behind the scenes. She believed Lucas was ignoring her because I was interfering. So she lashed out at me furiously. She thought I was still the same mentally unstable Serena. That provoking me would make me fall apart or die. She sent me all the intimate videos she had recorded with Lucas. Not just the ones in the hospital, where they fooled around right beside my sickbed, but also videos of them in his car, in public restrooms, in the kitchen, on balconies, even in his office. Vivian sent them all with a venomous message. "Old woman, did you really think Lucas loved you? No. He never did. He only married you because he felt guilty. Because the Hua family turned you into a crazed, broken thing. He pitied you. He's been disgusted with you for a long time." Vivian thought her words would make me collapse. Unfortunately for her, I didn't react at all. I simply saved every video and every message. Vivian was despicable. There was no telling what she might attempt. Better to keep evidence, just in case. Seeing that her provocations failed, Vivian couldn't handle the pressure. Lucas visited her less and less, ignored her messages, rejected her calls. Even when she mentioned the baby. It was obvious, Vivian no longer held any place in his heart. He was abandoning her. Refusing to accept failure, Vivian recklessly jumped to the same tactics she used in my previous life. She tried to frame me. She staged her own kidnapping. Just like what the Hua family once arranged for me, the hired goons tore her clothes, beat her, and demanded a ransom of 100 million from Lucas. Lucas panicked. He called the police immediately. The authorities rescued her in time. Vivian sobbed dramatically in Lucas's arms. When the kidnappers were interrogated, they all pointed at me. They claimed I had paid them, that I wanted Vivian dead because she had destroyed my marriage. And Lucas believed them. The police believed them too. I was overseas when I received the call, ordering me to return for investigation, or be placed under global pursuit. Vivian truly loved flirting with death. In our past life, she framed me and caused my tragic end, yet even in this life. Before I made any move against her, she dared to strike first. Who did she think she was? Did she really believe the law did not exist? I didn't return. Instead, I organized every piece of evidence Vivian had ever sent me. The videos, the messages, the provocations. And forwarded them to every major media outlet covering the case. Everything Vivian had ever done to provoke me was exposed. The scandal exploded. Everyone was stunned. Vivian's shamelessness ignited public outrage. People had seen all kinds of mistresses, but none as brazen, filthy, and shameless as Vivian. The public dug into her background. She couldn't withstand scrutiny. Soon, her entire past was laid bare. Her so-called part-time jobs at bars were actually gold-digging missions. Multiple wealthy men testified she had tried to seduce them. Some refused her outright. Others admitted they had played around with her. Her multiple virginity restoration surgeries were exposed, 4 times in total. The public was horrified. Vivian panicked, trying desperately to salvage the situation. But it was too late. Everyone now knew she was a seasoned gold digger. After the police began to doubt Vivian's credibility, they re-interrogated several of the kidnappers. This time, none of them dared accuse me. Instead, they all gave the same account. Everything had been a self-directed and self-acted drama orchestrated by Vivian. She had promised each of them 10 million once the plan succeeded, and claimed she could even get them out of any legal punishment. But now that the plan had collapsed, the 10 million was off the table. And those men weren't fools. Why would they risk everything for nothing, just to act as pawns in Vivian's twisted game? Vivian was arrested and brought in for questioning. Meanwhile, Lucas was hit with the worst trust crisis of his life. His reputation was in complete ruins. Back then, when he defied all odds to marry me, people looked at him differently, with admiration. But now, after everything involving Vivian had come to light, the public saw his true colors, cheating on his wife during the marriage, even provoking her into a breakdown right in front of her with his affair with her own third sister. News that the Howard family had once tried desperately to suppress exploded across the trending searches. People were furious, scolding Lucas for being a scumbag. Some even said my illness might have been caused by him. After all, what good could come from a man who played the role of a devoted husband while cheating behind his wife's back? On top of that, the video Vivian had sent me, where Lucas confessed everything the Howard elders had done to ruin my reputation, was now public. The sheer malice and shameless manipulation used by the Howards to push me into a severe mental breakdown enraged the public. Outraged netizens called for punishment against the Howard elders. Under immense pressure, the police summoned them for questioning, triggering a massive public scandal. The kidnappers were re-interrogated. Faced with video evidence of Lucas confirming everything, they finally confessed who had orchestrated the kidnapping: Lucas's parents. They were detained and placed under investigation. Lucas's image as a devoted husband completely collapsed. Ever since marrying me, Lucas had carefully crafted the persona of a loyal, doting man. Stories of his unwavering love for his sickly childhood sweetheart had people swooning. But now, the truth was out. He wasn't some loving husband, but a cheating scumbag with no shame. Outraged netizens flooded Lucas's official site. Large numbers of them even went to protest at his company. Wherever Lucas went, he faced public hatred. The Howard Group's stock price plummeted, spiraling out of control. The company suffered massive losses. But that wasn't the worst of it. The real disaster came when investors started pulling out. Back when Lucas insisted on marrying me, his loving husband image had moved a financial tycoon. That tycoon invested billions into the Howard Group, helping them rake in huge profits over the years. Now that the truth had surfaced, the tycoon felt completely deceived and, in a rage, announced the withdrawal of all his investments. The Howard Group was now desperately short on funds. If they couldn't quickly fill the gap left by the tycoon's exit, they faced imminent bankruptcy. Lucas was in despair. His parents were in custody and couldn't be bailed out. Meanwhile, the company was on the brink. He ran around trying to borrow money, but no one would help. People who used to laugh and drink with him now avoided him like the plague. No one wanted to lend him anything. Even the banks froze all loans. Lucas's hatred for Vivian burned. After being arrested, Vivian kept making a scene at the detention center, claiming she was pregnant and feeling unwell, demanding medical release. Since the child in her womb was Lucas's, the police notified him. Lucas, through his lawyer, bailed her out. Vivian had no idea how dire things were. She thought Lucas had saved her out of concern for their child. She was already plotting her comeback, hoping to use the baby to reclaim her place. But reality was far crueler than she imagined. That very night, Lucas threw her into a basement, where several burly men were waiting, grinning wickedly. Vivian got exactly what she deserved, brutally assaulted, bleeding heavily. The baby was gone. Due to the massive hemorrhage, she lost her uterus and nearly her life. Lucas never intended to kill her. He only wanted revenge. When Vivian woke up in the hospital, she realized she had lost the ability to be a woman. The face she had always relied on for survival was slashed and ruined. She was now a hideous monster. Only then did she understand, Lucas's cruelty was no less than her own. At this point, Vivian knew she would never rise again. But being a twisted and extreme person, she couldn't accept that fate. Dragging her broken body, she snuck out of the hospital and into Lucas's home. When she saw him, she grabbed a knife and lunged. Lucas took 2 stab wounds. In the struggle, he pushed Vivian off the 2nd floor. She died on the spot. Lucas was rushed to the hospital. Since the surveillance footage showed Vivian had initiated the attack, Lucas was deemed to have acted in self-defense and was not charged. But he spent a long time recovering in the hospital. Meanwhile, the Howard Group deteriorated further. After their financial troubles came a tax evasion investigation. Lucas's parents and grandfather all ended up in jail. Only Lucas escaped. Cornered, Lucas thought of me. After our divorce, he had transferred half of his assets to me. If I were willing to listen to him, maybe he could stage a comeback with my money. He kept changing phone numbers and sending me messages, begging for help. He claimed he had been blinded, deceived, manipulated. He blamed everything on Vivian, trying to paint himself as a victim. He even sent pictures of his pitiful condition, hoping to melt my heart. If I had been the naive Serena from my past life, hopelessly in love with him, I might have believed him. But I wasn't her anymore. I was Serena of the Neohuru clan, a woman who had died once, who had been hurt by him beyond repair. How could I believe a single word from Lucas? I ignored him. When he kept bombarding me with messages from new numbers, I got fed up and simply changed my phone. I continued traveling abroad, living freely and joyfully. A year later, I returned home, not alone, but heavily pregnant, accompanied by the man I met overseas who would soon be my husband. After a month of traveling the world, I had met him in Santorini. He was a handsome young Chinese man named Leon. We met by chance, someone tried to mug me, and Leon stepped in to help. To thank him, I treated him to dinner. He was charming, talkative, and entirely likable in every way. Like me, he was also backpacking the world. So we decided to travel together. Leon was fluent in several languages and deeply knowledgeable about local cultures. With him by my side, I never had to worry about anything. Together, we explored every country in Europe. During our travels, I realized something surprising. I didn't resist Leon's closeness. When he held my hand or supported me, I didn't flinch or panic. When I divorced Lucas, my doctor had told me my condition could be treated, but it would take time. I knew I hadn't fully healed. But why was I able to accept Leon? It puzzled me. Then, when we reached Provence, I got too excited and drank a bit too much. I have no memory at all of how I ended up sleeping with Leon that night. After I woke up, Leon, who had always been generous, suddenly insisted I give him a proper title. He said he was still a virgin, and since I'd done that to him, I had to take responsibility. And just like that, I was stuck with him. We continued traveling the world. Our relationship became even closer than before. It was perfectly natural for a single man and woman to become intimate. Leon's stamina was terrifying. Later, I found out I was pregnant. He took me from Europe to Asia, and in the Maldives, he officially proposed to me. I didn't say no. During the 6-month journey, I'd fallen for Leon. I wanted to give myself a chance. A chance to love someone, and to be loved in return. We stayed in the Maldives for 2 months, then went to Japan and Singapore. By the time we returned home, I was over 6 months pregnant. Once we landed, Leon couldn't wait to drag me to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register our marriage. He laid out 3 conditions. 1, my assets, acquired before marriage, would remain solely mine. 2, his assets would be shared marital property, belonging to both of us. 3, if he ever betrayed me, he'd leave the marriage with nothing. Back home, Leon took me to live in his house in Jing City, right in the heart of one of the most expensive districts. His villa alone was worth more than $1 billion. Only after stepping into his home did I realize he was secretly a billionaire. His wealth far exceeded anything I could have imagined. Truth be told, when I first got together with Leon, I had my guard up. I was afraid he was after my assets. But then I saw his $1 billion mansion, his garage packed with dozens of limited edition sports cars, his private jet, his yacht. I suddenly felt ridiculous for ever doubting him. Feeling reassured, I focused on my pregnancy and went in for regular prenatal checkups. What I didn't expect was to run into Lucas at the hospital. He was limping, disheveled, and alone, no bodyguards, no fancy clothes. When he saw me, he froze. He tried to approach, but Leon's security stopped him in his tracks. He shouted my name like a madman, trying to rush forward. They swiftly tackled him. I watched as Lucas was kicked to the ground and beaten. Listening to his pitiful cries, I felt nothing. When I got home, Leon had already rushed back. He kissed me first and asked how the baby was doing. I told him everything was fine, and then he brought up Lucas. I didn't hide anything. I told him honestly about my past with Lucas. Leon smiled calmly. So that's what happened. That man really couldn't recognize a diamond even when it was inlaid with gold. Lucky for me, his loss is my treasure. I teased him for being such a sweet talker. He pulled me into his arms. I'm serious. I never planned on getting married, but after meeting you, something changed. I guess it's fate. Leon then revealed his true identity. He said, back then, I heard how loyal he was to you. I was genuinely touched. That's why I agreed to invest in the Hua family. I never imagined he'd turn out to be trash like that. So you're the mysterious financial mogul who invested in the Hua Corporation? Yes. That was me. It all came full circle. I'd unknowingly married the very man who had once funded Lucas's family. Lucas probably never dreamed that the woman he threw away like garbage would one day marry up into such fortune and power. Just then, a bodyguard came to report that Lucas was at the gate again. He was screaming to see me, saying he had something important to say. Leon and I exchanged a glance. He helped me to my feet. Lucas was being restrained at the entrance, looking completely miserable. Blood stained the corner of his mouth. His clothes were filthy. He perked up when he heard footsteps and turned toward us with hopeful eyes. Only to freeze when he saw my rounded belly and Leon's arm wrapped protectively around me. His face went pale. Serena, you're married? I looked at him coldly. I heard you had something to say. Go ahead. Lucas stammered, gathering his courage. Can we talk in private? Just the two of us? There's no need. I cut him off flatly. I'm someone else's wife now. I don't want to upset my husband. So you either say what you need to say in front of him, or don't say anything at all. Lucas clearly hadn't expected that answer. He looked devastated. After a long pause, he finally spoke. Serena, I wronged you. Everything back then was my fault. The Hua family went bankrupt. All our assets were seized. My parents are in prison. They deserved it. I was just confused at the time. I know I did you wrong. Now I have nothing. Serena, could you lend me some money? I promise I'll pay you back. He looked utterly pitiful. I met his gaze and replied clearly, one word at a time, absolutely not. I won't lend you a cent. I'd rather burn every dollar I have than give it to someone as heartless as you. Lucas stared at me, his face ashen. I continued, don't get me wrong. I'm not refusing you because I still have feelings for you, or because I hate you. They say hate is just love in disguise. But I can tell you this, I no longer love you at all. I simply despise you. I want to see people like you live in misery, worse than death. Lucas was dragged away by the guards. Leon and I returned to our villa. He held me on the sofa, gently stroking my belly. I thought you might feel sorry for him, he said. I don't. I never will. In my last life, the Hua family set me up, and Lucas knew the whole time. He still treated me with such cruelty. I can't forgive him. Helping him is out of the question. The fact that I didn't kick him when he was down is already mercy enough. Whether he lives or dies now has nothing to do with me. 3 days later, the local news reported a sudden tragedy. A man with a limp, suffering from a terminal illness, jumped to his death from the hospital rooftop because he couldn't afford treatment. I recognized that broken, lifeless face immediately. Lucas. In the end, death brought him peace. But for people like him, living was always the crueler fate. His death didn't affect me much. I forgot about it quickly and returned to my peaceful, happy life. 3 months later, I gave birth to a healthy child. After the full month celebration, Leon and I held a grand wedding.